Hey guys, welcome to a new movie review. Today I'm going to be talking about the film Birds of Prey. This is a side story sequel to the 2016 film Suicide Squad, which is also a part of the DC Extended Universe, which also kind of is continuing kind of that universe of Harley Quinn and Jared Leto's Joker and all that good stuff. So, in Birds of Prey, this is more so about the Harley Quinn character this time around and not the Suicide Squad. Why it's called Birds of Prey also is it's kind of also about the Harley Quinn character teaming up with the Birds of Prey team and kind of accomplishing a similar goal with the Birds of Prey team. So throughout the film, she's trying to live a more independent life. She had a rough breakup with the Joker. She's trying to get over that. And so she's trying to move on with her life and to kind of figure out what she wants to do with it and things like that. But things kind of spiral out of control for Harley when not only does she get kicked out of her apartment, but she has this really bad debt with this criminal called Black Mask. And so basically, she's able to convince Black Mask not to kill her, to not take her life by basically promising him this diamond that he seems to be looking for. And she's able to kind of track down the person that took this diamond that Black Mask needs to basically make him the richest and probably most powerful criminal in Gotham City. And so basically she's tracking down this person. It's still not going well. And she's probably not going to make her deadline at this point. But while this is going on, she meets these other characters that are also from Gotham that also know Black Mask that have kind of been screwed over by Black Mask over time as well, just like Harley has. And so basically, there's this really bad situation that all of them get involved in. The ones that once worked for Black Mask don't work for Black Mask anymore. And so basically, it comes down to, we should form this team, take out Black Mask once and for all, clear all of our names, get rid of Black Mask if possible. And so basically, they form this team that they later called the Birds of Prey to not only take out Black Mask, but like I said, to clear their names, to kind of go back to the lives that they once had and make sure that Black Mask is free from their lives so they can go back to the lives that they once knew and that they actually wanted to pursue. So overall, guys, I thought this film was all right. It was kind of strange to me that Warner Brothers greenlit a film that was kind of a sequel to Suicide Squad, while also greenlighting a reboot of Suicide Squad, which is still in development. And so it's one of those weird situations where if the film does well, we're now rebooting Suicide Squad, so now we really can't continue in this same Suicide Squad continuity. But if the film fails, now that's going to look bad for that reboot of Suicide Squad. So where exactly does that leave everything? So unfortunately, Birds of Prey, and now that it has this poor box office reception that I'm now hearing about, I don't really know where things are going to go now, really. I don't know if it's just a Suicide Squad reboot. It'll acknowledge Birds of Prey and Suicide Squad 1, and it's now just a different direction for Suicide Squad. So kind of a weird choice that Warner Brothers did on their part. I don't know if they thought the Harley Quinn character would have made this film successful enough to reach, box office success and all this other stuff. But overall, for me personally, Birds of Prey was an okay film. It had some highlights about it, but overall, there's a lot of things going against it that kind of hurt it over time. That for me personally, I kind of like Suicide Squad a little bit better than this movie. I just had more fun with that film than I had with this one. And I think with some of the more recent DC films like Shazam and Wonder Woman, and kind of having a more optimistic tone and a more colorful tone, and this film had the colorful tone part of it correct, but I felt like they were kind of going that darker route that Suicide Squad had. And so I don't know. This film's kind of all over the place. They probably should have just rebooted Suicide Squad before greenlighting something like this. So that's just my personal opinion. But let's kind of talk about the goods and the bads of Birds of Prey. So for my positives of this movie, you guys, Margot Robbie as Harley Quinn is a highlight of this film. I really do feel like Margot Robbie is kind of the perfect choice to play the Harley Quinn character, whether we are using her in the reboot of Suicide Squad or not. I really enjoy her enthusiasm and her personality that she brings to the Harley Quinn character. So that's definitely one aspect of Birds of Prey that I thought they got right, absolutely. I thought the Gotham City environments were very rich and very contrasty, and they had a lot of life to them. So like when they're going around Gotham City, like in the actual city part of Gotham City, it really does kind of feel like a lived and breathed in city that's kind of going down in the dumps and has a lot of crime, has a lot of criminals in it. Kind of like how Joker did that recently with Joaquin Phoenix, how it felt like a very lived in city. So I thought the Gotham City environments were handled very well here. So whether they actually went out and filmed those somewhere or had a really impressive set for those. I thought the Gotham City environments were very impressive in this movie. Ewan McGregor as Black Mask, I thought was also very good. He was a very sadistic, very threatening Black Mask character. We really don't go into his background very much, but I think what really kind of won me over with his performance was just the fact that he was very threatening and very sadistic and was willing to humiliate people in public to kind of get his way and things like that. So I thought Ewan McGregor's performance as Black Mask was very good in this movie. I also thought the overall action scenes were very good too. There's a scene where Harley Quinn is trying to go after this car chase sequence of sorts, and she's on like these roller skate things, and it was a very impressive sequence. You really kind of wonder if they had a very impressive stunt double that looked like Margot Robbie, or if it was Margot Robbie herself doing some of these stunts. So I thought the action scenes in this film were, for the most part, pretty well handled. Chris Messina from the film Ruby Sparks, one of my all-time favorite films. He has a villainous role in this movie. I think he plays a character named Zaz, I think his name is. And so he kind of works for Black Mask, and I really like Chris Messina's role in this movie. I thought, once again, like Black Mask himself, very sadistic, very threatening. I really felt like this guy could really kind of harm you and hurt you in some way if you kind of didn't follow his orders and things like that. So Chris Messina's villain as Zaz, I thought was very impressive in this film too. I also like the overall Harley Quinn personality that the film has. It is kind of in the spirit of Deadpool. You could definitely tell they used Deadpool as an inspiration for this film, but for the most part, it did feel like it was being told by Harley Quinn. Um, very much about a Harley Quinn situation and things like that. So I thought the personality of this film was very well established. And overall, they set up the Birds of Prey team really well. You know, they have backstories for them. They talk about kind of what these characters mean to Harley Quinn and why Harley Quinn is going to team up with them later on in the movie and why they ultimately become the Birds of Prey and things like that. So there's a lot of good setup for the Birds of Prey team that I thought was very well handled in the movie. For my negatives of Birds of Prey, though, the film has a very messy back and forth narrative to it. It actually gets to the point where I almost wonder how much real story there is in this film because they backtrack so much in this movie to the point where there really isn't much of a story to tell to begin with because they're constantly backtracking to something that they want to explain to you and things like that. So I thought the back and forth narrative of this film was just very messy and to the point where the story itself is just very not complicated at all as a result. I also thought a better title for this film would have been The Diary of Harley Quinn, because in a way it does kind of feel like a diary entry with all the stuff going on in this movie, and with Harley Quinn kind of letting us know how she's feeling about everything. I thought that would have been a more appropriate title. I think the box office results probably could have been a little bit better. They could have kept the R rating, and I'll get to the Birds of Prey thing here in a minute, but I think labeling this film as Birds of Prey is very misleading. It's not a very big part of the movie, and it really is a Harley Quinn movie for the most part. So I thought Diary of a Harley Quinn, I thought would have been a much more appropriate title. It definitely would have helped the marketing. It would have had more correct marketing in that sense too. So I thought that would have been a better title for this film and a more appropriate title for the film too. And like I just mentioned a second ago, you really don't see the Birds of Prey team working as a team until the third act of this film. They're a very scattered team throughout this movie, and they're really not a team for the most part in this movie. They're just characters that cross paths that have been threatened or attacked by Black Mask in some way. Um, just calling this film Birds of Prey I thought was very misleading because, like I said, they really don't work as a team until the third act of this movie. So just labeling the film as Birds of Prey I thought was very misleading for the film. And whether it was the marketing team or Warner Brothers not deciding to do a Harley Quinn movie or a Birds of Prey movie or just deciding on one or the other, All these things could have been better handled in this movie. I also thought there was too many subplots because there is so many characters on this Birds of Prey team. They try to have all these subplots and they try to go on all these little submissions that these characters are trying to do until they become the Birds of Prey team. And over at the end of the day, there was just too many subplots. I really would have preferred a script that would have been more direct as to what it was trying to do. I also thought that this film kind of have more flowing narrative. The narrative was just all over the place and it was trying to backtrack a lot. It just felt like it didn't have a solid flow to it that it really needed to really work for this movie. So, as far as narratives go, this film needed to be more flowing as far as having a straightforward narrative that works for one story and that flows really well. And unfortunately, there really isn't a good flow to this movie. I also thought more intrigue could have happened for the newer characters. At the end of the day, I just really felt like I wasn't caring about Black Canary or Huntress or any of them. Either their backstory was too similar to other backstories I've already heard, or there just isn't enough to some of these characters to make me care about them the way I care about the Harley Quinn characters. So I thought more intrigue could have happened for a lot of these newer characters. Overall, there's just too many flashbacks in this movies too. Like they said, it retraces its steps so many times that the flashbacks and getting us caught up with everything is just a little too much after a while. And like I said, I would have preferred something that would have flowed better, had a more chronological order to it. Just way too many flashbacks in this movie. There's also this circus set thing that they go to at the third act of this movie when they're fighting Black Mask. It really felt like a set. All the compliments I was giving this film earlier about having this lived-in Gotham City and things like that, which are great. Those are great sets to work with. But then you get to the circus place at the end of the movie, and it looks like a set. It really looks like I just kind of walked onto this incomplete set that was not ready to go yet, that does not look like it's full of life yet. That circus place thing in the third act of the film really felt like a set to me, and that is not a compliment. So, Birds of Prey, I'm going to give it a 7.5 out of 10. It's an okay film. I would say give this film a Redbox rental if you really want to see some form of a Suicide Squad continuation based off that 2016 movie. I thought it was okay. I don't think I could send into the theater to see this one, though. Birds of Prey is a 7.5 out of 10 for me.